This is Joe Peters with Momfit with Joe Peters. Welcome to the Spanglish World Network and the Her Network on the Single TV channels 250 and 251. Please remember to download the Single TV in all the respective app stores, iOS and Android devices. While you are downloading, please leave a comment and a rating. The app is free. You don't want to leave the app, download the app in your phone, please remember that Single TV is also available in Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire TV, Roku, and Roku Stick in all the smart TVs since 2016. Welcome to another episode of Momfit with Joe Peters, where our mission is helping you to win the marathon of life without burnout. I'm super happy to be here and have you here as we are every Friday talking about different topics that hit us in different ways as moms in this journey that we call motherhood. That we all love, that the reality is a lot of the times we are not prepared for. So if you are not following me yet, please make sure to go to Joe Unicorn Coach on Facebook and Instagram. I handle my own social media. So if you have any problem, any challenge, any question, you feel overwhelmed or alone or that you are failing on this marathon, please send me a message. And then if I don't have the right answer, I will find somebody like Ashley that will come here and together we will find a solution because mama, you are never alone. You are part of the monthly community and we are here for you. Well, I this has been a theme. I think that has been the theme of the second quarter around how important it is to prioritize our health and our wellness. And today we're going to be talking with Ashley a little bit more into that part of the mind, body, spirit trifecta and how we need to take care of all three of them in order to have that wellness and how actually that could impact things like fertility and how things go for us. So Ashley actually supports women trying to conceive to create a fertility foundation within themselves by aligning their mind, their body, and their spirit. She is passionate about empowering women to take their health, their healing, and their happiness into their own hands. Ashley, I'm super happy to have you here. I would love that we talk a little bit about your journey, how you start doing this, who is Ashley, and why do you love doing what you do?
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. And really, I feel like my journey chose me. I have been blessed with twins who are now 11, and I have a 5-year-old as well. And really, what really shifted for me was, when I landed on my yoga mat and began to prioritize myself. It started with a $5 karma class and really just wanting to dive deeper, wanting to explore more, and realizing how important it is to not put yourself last and to make time to do something for yourself, for mind, body, and spirit every single day. And what that looks like for you is individual to you. But I think it's really important to fill up your own cup first so that you can give to everybody else in your life.
And how you start getting into that part of the inner fertility with moms. How was that journey for you to start discovering that that is where you want to work and help?
My journey began when, I had to use a medical intervention in a fertility clinic the first time around and didn't think that I could conceive any more children on my own. And after embodying holistic practices, I was able to conceive naturally and holistically very easily, very quickly, and was really empowered in that experience and had two very different pregnancies, two very different birth experiences, and just offering this to women to support them in a stressful situation because They are tools that I not only used then, but I still use them on a daily basis to stay in alignment, to stay balanced, to stay healthy, and to have them just in my toolkit. And I think it's important to have those things so that you can continue to show up and feel your energetic best.
I love it. Now, I ask everybody to tell me a little bit about their um, phrase, their favorite phrase. And your favorite phrase was no mud, no lotus. So, why you
Yes.
pick that phrase and what that phrase means?
I think that the phrase no mud, no lotus really just resonates with me because when you're in the thick of it, you can't see any beauty ahead, you can't see the light, and to know that it is always there, but sometimes we have to peel back and sort of get through the mud first before we can achieve our goal or seek what we are truly after. And it really is sometimes a lesson in patience and really going inward and knowing that we are exactly where we're meant to be, even if it doesn't feel like it sometimes.
Okay, yeah, and I think it is so important because sometimes we feel like we will never get out of the mud, and then we can start fighting with that. Okay, so what are some of the top things that work for you and for the people that you know, and where do you think that this balance between body, mind, and spirit come into play for things like showing up as a mom and or getting pregnant again, either if it's your first time or if it's a second, third time um, in the journey.
I think it's so important to have that balance. And sometimes people come to me and say, I just want the yoga, or I just want the Ayurveda, which is the sister science to yoga. And it really is a holistic approach, and it's all of you and coming back and remembering your wholeness and addressing all pieces and parts of you, even those parts of you that may be your yin side or your shadow side or your dark side, or those pieces and parts of you that you don't welcome with loving arms. And I think that that is really important to take that approach and to really begin to love all of yourself and not just those parts that you deem worthy. And it can be challenging to, you know, not be pregnant or not be able to show up in the way that you want to in every given moment. But I think it's also a great opportunity to give yourself grace and to, know that you are doing your best in every moment possible.
And what are some of those tips that work for you and that moms that are facing this can start considering as they hear you and say, oh, you have an alternative, you have something different, or like you're saying that they already are starting to consider that that would be the path that they need to have forever if they want to keep doing it.
Can you rephrase that? Sorry.
Yeah, so what would be some of the tips that work for you um that help you to get that alignment between body, mind, and spirit, that some of the moms that are thinking that this is something that is happening for them can start considering in how they can start seeing some of these things as a possibility in a daily practice.
Some of the daily practices that I use and that I offer to clients are, instilling a meditation practice. And another thing that is deemed very valuable in Ayurveda is dinacharya, which is, a daily routine and sort of having a daily routine and having that consistency and showing up for yourself. And then these habits and patterns, when you make them positive, they work for you and you show up for yourself, even if you're tired. I get on my yoga mat every day and it doesn't matter what poses I do. It's just I show up for myself and I listen to my body and I give myself what I need at any given moment. And there's no right or wrong. It's being in tune with yourself and not forcing and doing things that are out of alignment for you, you know? You don't feel like going for a run, then move your body in a way that feels good for you, you know? Maybe it's time to go for a swim or do something a little bit more gentler.
Okay, so let's talk about prioritizing your health. That is the topic. That is what you are an expert on. So we want to hear more about you as an expert on how that looks like, what that means, um, and then how people can start paying attention into doing something for their mind, their body, and their spirit daily.
I love and I'm trained in 5 different kinds of yoga, and I think it's a great way to bring mind, body, and spirit back into balance and alignment. And it doesn't have to take long, but the benefits that you reap are profound. And also having a meditation practice is a beautiful way. You know, I used to get dragged out of bed by mom on a daily basis and feel like I was running behind, feel like I was not showing up with the energy or the vibration that I wanted to. And so it's a conscious choice that I made to wake up intentionally, to take time to meditate before my kids get out of bed. And that wasn't always the space I was in, but it really has been a shift for me that I show up differently and start the day with stillness and quiet and then move from that space and place instead of like the opposite. And that has been profoundly, you know, helpful for me to change the way that I show up as a mom, as a business owner. And I think that when you can sort of do that for yourself, and it may not be in the early stages when they're teeny tiny, but I think that it really can help you in so many ways just to feel and come back to feeling like your best self.
So I think that it's important that we talk a little bit about yoga because unfortunately we still have this misconception that yoga are the flexibility, um, super skinny chicks that go into form a pretzel with their legs and their arms. And we're gonna just talk a little bit more into what actually is yoga and how yoga can be a tool, like you were saying, to align body mind um, in a process that supports all as moms or moms to be.
I think that it's really important, and you touched on a profound aspect of it, is we often see it as, you know, the fast, heated, quick moving sort of classes. And yes, there's a space and place for that. I did used to teach that before I became pregnant again, and then I couldn't be in the heat and I didn't feel well, and it was like, hey, I can't do that anymore. And so there's a time and stage and place where you might be really craving and seeking that flexibility and quick movements and strength, but also to incorporate the opposite dynamic, which is what I offer mostly to my clients, is yin yoga, because it opens up your meridian lines in the same way as going to acupuncture does for fertility. But you can do it at home in the comfort of your own home with a bolster, and it's like acupressure, and it's just a different way to move your body and to focus your breath and your attention and your awareness. As well as restorative yoga is very beautiful because it's very healing to the mind, body, and spirit. And that can be used if you've had a C section. You know, if you've had a C section and come home from the hospital, you can use that to help heal and repair and replenish. And so it is a beautiful form of yoga as well to give yourself that opportunity to pause, to slow down, and to not move at such a quick and rapid pace, because we're not always at that stage in our life. And I think it's really our job to sort of honor what sort of stage that we're in at the present moment and what's going to actually serve us best. You're muted. I can't hear you.
And I think that is something that we need to normalize so much because actually, when we start understanding that what we call as yoga is only one of the eight paths of yoga, like what we call as yoga, that is the movement, is only one of the limbs of yoga that is called asana, that is the movement of the body, then we start knowing that yoga is a lot more of that. And I think that is beautiful what you are saying, because there are moms that are saying, I don't have time to move. You can practice yoga, practice and again curious into the yamas and niyamas that are the first two parts or the foundation of yoga. That is ethical ways of living. You can do it with asana, that is the movement. You can do it with breathing when you are breastfeeding your baby, when you are getting a panic attack, when you are getting ready to do something. Just pranayama, just the breathing can be a way of doing that yoga, and then the meditation too. So I think that that is very important that we start normalizing that. The asana part was the part that was the most popular when moved to the West
Yes.
from yoga, and then it just eat almost the other seven limbs into, and then everything that is movement, that is one of the limbs, is yoga. That when you start thinking like Ash, with I, we're working with somebody like Ashley, you start understanding that there are so many things that get you into yoga that are not just the movement, and then it still have the benefit. Like I, for example, hear a lot of time with restorative yoga, people are like, but we are not doing anything, we are just laying down there and change position maybe 3 times in an hour. Like how that is beneficial. And then it's part of that part of that you were saying, that relaxation that allow your body to get better. So why do we do yoga? What is one of the main goals and one of the main um, objectives of us going into that path of getting curious about how to incorporate yoga in our lives?
I think for everybody it will be different, but I know for myself personally, it was the energetic benefits that I felt afterwards. You know, I always felt better every time I got off of my mat, and that's what kept drawing me back to it. And that's when I started to study and explore it further. And I think that you can find a type of yoga. I believe everybody can do yoga. There is some form of yoga that you can do. There are yoga nidra meditations that you can do, which for a sleep deprived mom are a lifesaver. I mean, it's a yogic sleep. 20 minutes is equivalent to 4 hours, and it's like a reset for your body. It's a reset for your nervous system. And, you know, a quick 20 minutes of that is setting you up for success for the rest of your day. If you can take that time and pause. If your baby doesn't nap, then do that and that quick 20 minutes and feel revitalized. And there's so many things that we can do for ourselves, even though we think that we don't have time. And also knowing that if we do that, we are going to end up feeling better afterwards. And, we receive from what we give ourselves.
And I love that you make that that connect that one too, because for all the moms that are um, in the third trimester, especially, that you're already tired, discomfort, or you are in those first ages of life where they are not sleeping, or you have a baby with colicky or witchy hour, any of those things, and you are tired and you are exhausted, and you may not have enough support around you. Things like what Ashley was saying on the yoga nidra are completely delicious. You don't know how many times I'm feeling exhausted, and then I just go to my bed, close curtains, get a blanket, play the yoga nidra. And the reality is sometimes I don't have the 20 minutes that Ashley was saying. So sometimes I just go to YouTube and say 10 minutes yoga nidra or 15 minutes yoga nidra and do it, and then go into such a deep level of rest that you do wake up feeling better. And I think that is a beautiful opportunity for us to see how many tools we have available that sometimes we don't even know about, that can make our life easier, because that is something that I want to talk with you and hear your opinion. Sometimes we just make the default assumption that it needs to be hard, that we need to struggle. And then when we start discovering tools like these ones, we start saying like, wait a minute, it doesn't have to be that hard. There are some of these tools that are here to support me into feeling better, into feeling rested, into feeling that. So what do you think that there is that conception that we just assume, yeah, I just need to suck it up. It is supposed to be hard and I just need to muscle through.
I think that you can only go so far doing that and then it catches up with you. I think that, you know, your body is going to be asking for, your mind is going to be asking for some sort of reprieve. And it is a perfect thing to give yourself that reprieve and that reset. And yes, there are going to be challenging times, but how can you breathe through those? How can you still, not feel so triggered when things aren't going your way or as planned? Because there are always going to be obstacles, but how can you navigate those with a bit more ease? And I think that it's not just, in that moment, there is always going to be something that you're showing up against. So it's having the resources within yourself to be able to move through them in the best way possible for you. And it may be messy sometimes, but it's also embracing the mess and letting go of perfection and letting go of the way we think things should be and accepting things as they are.
Well, now let's gonna talk a little bit about meditation because that is another part of yoga that is being very misunderstood. And then I know that a lot of moms think of meditation, think on those gurus in caves in India that spend days meditating, or they think about Buddha that meditate for days, or they think about something as silly as a Star Wars with Yoda. So, how has been your journey on meditation, and how moms that want to start exploring this can start playing with the idea of meditation and what that meditation is?
I think that there can be a lot of barriers to a meditation practice, but they're often ones that we place on ourselves. And so there is a form of meditation, I believe, for everyone. In a beginning stage, I would say it would be a yoga nidra practice because you cannot do it wrong. So if you're thinking, I can't do this, anybody can do that. You cannot do it wrong. So that's a great place to start. But if you're someone who says, I can't sit still, then, do walking meditations, find a labyrinth, be present when you're walking, take the earbuds out and actually be in tune with your senses and what is going on around you and stop rushing through life and take the opportunity to be present, because I think that's really the missing piece is the presence. And it's not what it looks like, it's noticing what is going on for yourself personally, the thoughts that are coming through, and just being a witness to them and not being attached or judging what is showing up for you in the present moment. And oftentimes, we can be our own worst critics and say, oh, well, I can't, because you have a preconceived notion of what it's supposed to be like or feel like or look like.
And I think that I don't know if it was I really don't know who I hear this, but it was brilliant because as a perfectionist type A mom, I'm always active, I'm always thinking. So when I initially many years ago start trying to meditate, it was very frustrating for me because my expectation was you are going to clear your mind and then you're going to just be present. And then I had thoughts all the time. And especially after the baby, because it's always like, oh, I cannot forget this, and I need to do this, and he's running out of diapers, blah blah blah. And I hear somebody said that for them meditating was like being in a busy New York City road at a rush hour, and that the thoughts were just taxis that were passing through. And the taxis were looking somebody that stopped them and jump in them to carrying them someplace. But then the game starts saying as soon as the thought came, instead of fighting it and oh, what is wrong with me and why I'm not doing this right, why I have these thoughts and go away, I don't want thoughts. then it was like, oh, I can just say, oh, there is a taxi, and I can choose if I stop the taxi, jump in the taxi, and go someplace in that taxi, or I just see the taxi come, slow down, and then go in the other direction. And I think that that helped me a lot because I think that is another misconception of if you're meditating, you're having your mind blank. Actually, I grew up as a Jehovah Witness, and the misconception is so bad that one of the reasons why, for example, Jehovah Witnesses, I don't know if they changed because it's been out of the reach for a long time, but when I was a little girl, Jehovah Witnesses will not meditate because literally they say when you meditate, you put your mind blank, and then the devil can jump in and do it. So all of that, that it needs to be this way, you don't have to be thinking, when in reality, I want to hear your opinion, is actually the practice of learning how to get back to the present, to your breathing, despite the thought, despite. So it's the practice of choosing, I'm not going to jump into the taxi and go over there to imagine all the horrible things that could happen. I can just wing at the taxis and say, hey, bye, see you later, and staying here.
Yes, that's precisely it. And it's not, you are not going to ever empty or clear your mind or have a blank slate. And so I think that is, the misconception. And then, you're judging yourself of, oh, well, I'm not doing this right. I can't meditate. This isn't for me. I tried it and, I've thrown it out the window. And yet there are so many benefits when it can become a regular practice, and to know that maybe initially you need to do, or follow a guided meditation, and then, you can probably learn to sit in stillness and find that for yourself, but it may not be in the beginning stages right off the bat.
And I think that the other thing that is important there, and I love how yoga, like the limbs, is more like a tree, like the lotus that you have behind you that looks like a crown for you. And is you can start wherever you are, that you are going to use some of the other limbs in every single one of them. For example, when you are doing the movement, part of what I started working on in the yoga was like, it was the movement. And initially, I'll be completely honest, I love hot yoga because I'm a type A. I love the stretchy, I love pushing myself. So it was literally a workout. But then, as more as I start doing things like pranayama and breathing, then I start saying, oh, how I can breathe in the pose, how I can hold the pose without rush and just breathing, and then say, oh, this is actually really challenging, just holding it. Or then even doing that meditation part of it, of being in the class and doing yoga and doing the asana and the movement present, not with your mind check out thinking on what you're going to do for dinner, but actually when you're thinking about dinner and the kids, you're like, no, I am doing warrior two, and this is what we are doing right now, and I'm feeling my body. So I think that is lovely how they all can interconnect and support us. Because I will even say, like, you don't need 10, 15, 20 minutes of meditation either. Yeah, you can pick 5 minutes of just being present and breathing to actually co-regulate or regulate your nervous system.
Definitely. I think that is the best piece of advice I can probably give is, if you are feeling stressed or anxious or overwhelmed or whatever that feeling is to pause in that moment, because the breath is your anchor to bring the mind and the body back into harmony and to find that equilibrium within, and to take a conscious breath, like even one conscious breath, and just to pause is going to be such a game changer for you, because oftentimes what we do is we override that and we continue and we push through, and we don't take that time until maybe, oh, I'll do it at the end of the day, or I'll do it later, or whatever the excuse is.
And I think there that um I think there that it's important that we get into the part of how important is to not feel guilty, like you were saying at the beginning, for taking time. And that is something that I think that all of us battle as mom. And that is like you were saying, like, and I'll be completely honest, like, this week I'm being super sick. I work out every day, but it's been super hard to wake up extra early to work out because I'm also tired, because I'm also feeling not good, because my baby's sleeping with me, because my baby's sick, because we are not sleeping at all. And it can be very easy for us to start making it one day become two, and two become three, and three become a week, and a week become a month, and then you close your eyes, and then it's been 6 months, it's been a year, you don't even remember when was the last time that you move your body, or that you breathe, or you meditate. So how moms can create some boundaries around that, to make sure that they cut themselves in that process before that start extending to a point that is to, like, I don't remember when was the last time that I breathe or meditate.
I think that to catch yourself as soon as you can, and to I think it really just comes down to holding yourself accountable, and making those promises to yourself and keeping those promises. Yes, there may be times and situations where maybe it doesn't serve you, but if I'm ever feeling under the weather, then that is going to be a time to do, say, restorative yoga, or something that is going to be really calming and healing for me, to help me on my path to feeling my best state of health and wellness. So I think it's knowing yourself, and if you're really not feeling your best, then that wouldn't probably be a time to do a hit workout or something like that. Like, go for a walk and, still receive some benefits, but maybe don't push yourself to the extent that you previously would have, because it only sort of lengthens that repair. And if you've completely fallen off the wagon, I just want to say that it's stated in many things that when we're here we can often fall, and then we can even fall lower because we were once so high. And I think it's to just give yourself grace, and to notice, and to know that maybe that level is not always sustainable or attainable for you, but to you can always start again. Day one can be any time, and you can always choose yourself again, choose to show up for yourself, choose to prioritize yourself, choose to honor your health and well-being, knowing that your health and wellness is your wealth.
And I think that is very important that we know ourselves, because I think that that is one of the things where we get most in trouble, into we try to do what work for others. And
Yes.
if you know that you have a challenge with restarting things, then maybe it's very good what Ashley says I will not skip it, even if I need to do a restorative, even if I can do it just for a minute and a half. Just the mindset that I did it will help you to not have the feeling in your brain that you skip it. One that I see a lot that is very common too is have a maximum no matter what. So if I'm gonna skip, I'm gonna skip one and no more than one, or I'm gonna skip two and no more than that, and then it's going to take some time. But start thinking on that what if, because I think that it's not if happen, it's when happen. Especially as moms, things happen, and if we are prepared for that, knowing that we are unapologetically making our well-being a priority, then we are able to do things like this and say, okay, what are the options? Because there's some things that I want to talk with you that affect this well-being and this holistic approach to body, mind, and spirit, and it's that all or nothing mentality. And we think that if
Yes.
we are not doing it for the regular 45 minutes, then what is the point? And then from there going to, if I do it for 5 minutes, then I'm still doing it, and I'm still way better than if I choose to not do it at all.
Definitely. You may have to modify the time, the length, the intensity, but you can still show up for yourself in the way that you can that day, or the next time you hop on your mat, or the next time you put on your running shoes, or whatever it is, you can still, you know, get back to. I think sometimes we also think like these were the glory days, those were the golden days, and like I can never get back to that. Say if you've had a child, and it's knowing that you can always surpass where you were before, no matter what your age is. And I think there's a lot of things that are, you know, culturally stemmed at us, and society sort of tells us, and it's like, no, you know your body best. I was deemed geriatric the second time I was pregnant by my doctor, and yet I felt way better the second time around than the first time around. So take everything with a grain of salt and listen and tune into how you truly feel.
Absolutely. And um I think that that is a beautiful thing that yoga gave us, and is that self knowledge and self awareness to build a trust, to believe in ourselves and believe in what feels good for us, especially around motherhood, because it's so much easier to put all the responsibility and all the trust into the white coat and the experts because they are the experts. But the reality is they are the experts in the generic, not in the particulars of our body, of how we are feeling, of how we are evolving. And I love how that is another benefit of doing some of these practices of mind, body, spirit, to create that confidence, to create that tune into yourself, what your body is telling you. I will tell you that, and a lot of people know this in the channel because I share it often, that when I get to the hospital, I was doing, I never call them contractions, I call them pressure waves. And then I was aiming to do something very natural for my birth. And when I get to the hospital, the midwife measured me and said, "You are ready to push. You are 10 centimeters. You are ready to push." And because some of these work and these things, I tune in and I did not want to push. My body was not ready to push. So I look to my doula and to my midwife and said, like, can we wait? I just don't feel that I'm ready. I don't feel the urge to push. And then my midwife looked me like if I had seven eyes in my face. And so like, I never had any woman that was ready 10 centimeters and didn't want to start pushing right away. They are normally waiting, anxious to 10 centimeters to push. But if you want to wait, wait. And I wait 2 hours and a half more after I was 10 centimeters. Into I get to the hospital at 9:30. And then at 11:30, my body said, I'm ready. Now I want to push. And I push and I push only for like 20 minutes. I didn't tear. And even when I'm not saying that that is what everybody needs to do, I'm saying that all of that happened for me because I was able to honor how my body was feeling and how I was feeling, and what I was feeling was the right move over what the checklist said. According to the checklist, I was ready. And I will never be able to prove this, but I will bet money that if I start pushing at 9, that will not make my baby burn any sooner. What it will do is I will be pushing for 3 hours until my baby was ready to get burned. That was at 12:15 in the middle of the night. So I love how that also can help us to create that part there. Actually, what is one of the biggest um fears and obstacles that you see with moms when they start working with you into creating this inner holistic fertility to get ready for their next step in their motherhood journey?
I think it is very eye-opening because what what is seen can be unseen, but often we don't realize what is truly available to us and where we're not tapping in and accessing all pieces and parts of us, as well as overlooking how stressed we actually are in this situation and really giving the nervous system that reprieve that it's asking for because it is stressful. And if you're working and you have appointments and all of these things, it's just accumulated stress, and you keep thinking it's going to be next month, it's going to be next month. And I think it's good to have support outside of you as a couple. Because they're in it with you. And I think it's just nice to know that someone has your back, and I'm experiencing this. What can I do? Or this is showing up for me right now. How can I navigate and move through this with a bit more ease? And whether it's a breathing technique or a yoga class designed to help move those issues in our tissues because we all have them. It's a really good way to not remain energetically stuck and to just not remain in that place and to allow it to pass through you and not hold on to it energetically.
And before we finish, let's gonna talk a little bit into that yoga, the spirit part, because that also sometimes is for the more conservative moms where they start getting a little nervous about trying some of these techniques, because then they are able to understand, okay, my mind, my body, but the spirit, that God, and I don't want to break some of my personal spiritual beliefs. So what part plays the spirit, and why is important to do mind, body, and spirit instead of, for example, just mind and body?
Well, the thing is, you are mind, body, and spirit. So if you're not looking at or addressing that piece and part of you, then you're sort of missing that aspect of yourself. And so for your spirit, I believe in finding what makes you feel like you, what lights you up, and what makes you feel connected to yourself. What does that look like for you? How does that feel? And this isn't an outward thing, it's an inward thing. It's a connection within. And to me, that is spirituality. And whether you call it God, source, universe, divine, whatever it is, then it's for you to tune in and tap into for yourself. And, you know, I can give many techniques or ways of doing it, but it is really, it's your own soul journey and it's for you to discover for yourself.
Um, so, what is that journey of being a holistic fertility coach? What is the goal of being a holistic fertility coach?
The goal for me really is that I am offering a space and a place that is sacred for you to be exactly where you are, to be present and witness to whatever you're experiencing on your journey, to heal what has happened so far, because often we overlook, how long we have been trying, what we have been through, whether it's miscarriages or failed rounds of IVF. There is often healing that needs to take place on this journey, and to offer things that have zero side effects and only positive benefits, and to know that every person that I work with leaves feeling better whether they are pregnant or not yet.
And I think that that is very important as we close the show into pointing out, because one of the things that take out of the whack our hormones and then breathe of our nature is stress and cortisol. And I cannot think on many other more stressful situations that a mom wanting to have a baby, wanting to either start a family with their partner or increase their family and feeling that they cannot do it. And then it becomes literally the hamster in the wheel, right? Because as more stressed they are, as more they're flooding their system with cortisol, and as more their system find those waves of cortisol, as more their body saying, this is not a safe environment to have a baby. We are not safe. We are putting that in pause. So I think that part of what is important on this approach that you have is helping them to create tools or mechanisms to reduce that cortisol, to reduce that stress, to allow them have a space to find themselves, to find that wisdom within, and from there, from that place not of fear but of hope, trust their body and work as a team to actually come into their desired goal, like you did, where you got pregnant but without any other treatment, and you start having that alignment. Ashley, thank you so much for being here with us today. I would love for you to share a last message with all the moms that are watching us around the world, and then also tell them if there are moms or moms to be that felt connected or related to what you were saying in terms of the stress, in terms of their path to wellness and mind, body, spirit, how they can reach out to you, how they can find you in the beautiful world of the internet.
I would love to just share that often we can feel alone when we're in it if no one in our immediate circle is going through it, or our workplace, no one is experiencing infertility either. It can be very isolating. And to know that you're not alone, to know that there is support available to you, know that it is not a weakness to ask for support, to ask for help. Choosing and prioritizing yourself is always going to serve you in the best way. And if you are looking for that support, I have a holistic fertility Facebook group that you are welcome to join. And if you know someone, you can refer them to this group. It's just a space to land in and be as you are and to take what serves you. And you can find me on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn. Um, just put my name or holistic fertility coach, and you will see a baby coming out of a lotus. That is me.
Okay, so find the baby coming out of a lotus with holistic fertility coach. And remember, I think there's a beautiful way to close. You are never alone. There is always people around willing and happy to help you. So thank you so much, Ashley. Thank you to everybody that tuned in today. We would love to hear your comments, your feedback, your questions. We are here to serve you. Remember, our mission is helping you to win the marathon of life, the marathon of motherhood without burnout. And also, if you are not following me yet, go ahead, Joe Unicorn Coach on Instagram and Facebook. Let's stay in touch and let's win this together, mamas. This show can also be heard on the Spanglish Radio Network. Please check out www.spanglishworld.ca for all the news and programming. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it.